And a very good day, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for your interest and your participation in today's webinar, Determining Project Success. My name is Tim Jerome. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm brought to you on behalf of Easy Certifications, a training and certification preparation provider. We'll talk more about them a little later. However, you all are more interested in the content that I'm providing today. For right now. Real quickly, let's, as proper project managers, let's go ahead and set some ground rules and baselines. This is a webinar and I'll be presenting. However, I'd like to treat this as a standard class that I usually teach, which means it's entirely collaborative. If you send questions through the chat Q&A, I'll see them and I'll be more than happy to respond to them. And in fact, if you'd like, after the presentation, I can have not an open mic per se, but an open chat where you can ask various questions, both on what PMP preparation classes are like, as well as general project management classes. I know this is going to generate a lot of questions. In an hour, it's very hard to present this material. On the other hand, that's what we have today, so I'll do my best. Okay, first of all, this is the only time you'll see me, except, let me try something. Let me see if I can get my camera going here. Once in a while it works. Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody. Let me go ahead and remove that. I like it when people can see me. It works real well. It's like this is not a recording. This is the real person. My name's Tim. I've been teaching and preparing people to take the PMP test for over a decade and a half. I did it for 4 or 5 years inside a major corporation, and immediately after that, I did on and off for my local Project Management Institute chapter. I've been a project manager across every industry. I've had the luck to work with major corporations, Fortune 50s, helping them make decisions in the boardroom, helping them with projects out in the field, especially oil fields, as well as in hospitals and education facilities. But if you've seen it in the PMBOK, I participated in it, and like I said, I've experienced it with some of the greatest decision makers that you can imagine. I've been lucky to be able to impart my wisdom. But that's not what you're here today about. You're here today to talk more about project and project success. We're going to actually define what that means. What project success really means. And then we're going to talk about what causes success. Because if we understand what causes success and then what causes not success, or what we call failure, we can actually minimize the causes of failure and maximize the cause of success. It's risk management, right? And then what we can look at through the project life cycle, where success occurs and how we can actually influence it. Now, we're going to have to also talk about the project manager's authority, because a lot of times the project manager is not a formal role, and we have to understand the tools we have based on the decisions of the other stakeholders, the other people around the project that allow us to influence success on our project. And finally, what do we need to do? What does our role require us to do to actually facilitate the success? And finally, a call to action, what you can take from this to actually assist yourself in influencing success more and more. Now, again, I'm not the expert, okay? I've been doing project management for 20 years. That makes me silver-haired. What I've done is listened to my stakeholders, I've listened to my students, and that's where I got my wisdom. And I'm going to go ahead and listen to you. See, the project manager is not what makes project success. The project team makes success. The project manager moves everything else out of the way so the project can be successful. Now, To give you a little background, I attribute my way of doing projects to the way the Project Management Institute sees project and project management. This is a professional organization. They've been around since the 60s. And PMI, Project Management Institute, supports not just mastery of project management, through community, through peers, through training, and through collaboration and white papers, but they also support a United States standard and an international standard. They align themselves with proper project management practice seen by the American National Standards Institute and the International Standards Organization. They align their standard in order to create a credential, and this came out in the early 1980s, Project Management Professional, PMP, and this was actually designed to communicate a person's level of knowledge, their level of experience, and their level of confidence in being able to manage projects to success. Now let's define it. So this is a little hard to see, but if you'll notice, let me go ahead and get my pen highlighter out here. We're talking about project success. This is technical project management, scope, cost, and schedule. When I talk about project health success, I'm talking about scope, which is, does the deliverable meet the requirements? Does the deliverable and its creation fall within expectations of cost and schedule? Now, let's back up a little bit here, because we're talking about a project and we're talking about deliverable, but we really haven't defined them. So a project is something that's never been done before. It's unique, and it's also time-bound. There's a definite start and a definite end. So there's a lot of unanswered questions that you go through in the project, and part of it is understanding what you're trying to do. And that deliverable is what you're trying to do. It could be a product, something you hold in your hand, like a black box. It could be a service. You're helping an organization or someone change. It could be a result. It's a decision. A project could be just a decision. Now, project health success says that with this expectations, you meet all the requirements. You meet what they expected and what they needed as that deliverable. And it costs and takes the amount of time that everybody accepted and everybody expects. That's project health success. We also have quality success. Now, quality, according to a guy by the name of Joseph Juran, says quality is fulfillment of requirements and fit for use. Well, when we talked about project health success, we talked about meeting requirements, right? That's part of it. Juran said that there's something called fitness for use. We have experienced projects where we did everything right in the project, but the deliverable did not meet the needs. That's the opposite of quality success. In fact, as a project manager, and we're seeing this transition within our profession even now, that it's not just meeting the requirements, but it's meeting something called the business objective. Why are we doing this project in the first time? That's quality success. As a project manager, we're accountable for not just the health success of the project, but also the quality success. Goes even further. Project success itself goes into that. The business objective actually is the impact your project has to the organization. Whoever's doing the project, the people who need this project to get done, you are changing the way they're doing things for the better. Now, that third part is the key. We're going to talk more and more and more about this. From a project health standpoint, we talk about technical project management. From a quality standpoint, we talk about an organizational project management. From a project success standpoint, we talk about leadership project management. Okay, and that's the whole thing. You have to take into account all three of these. It's not just enough for us now to meet targets of scope, cost, and schedule. As project managers, we actually are connecting with business and organization, making impact there, but we're also making an impact as participating in leadership. This is the value of project management. And this has been going on since the 70s and 80s, but now it's being formalized in training, in education, and in the project management profession itself. Now, what actually allows us to influence more success on our projects? I'm going to divide it into two pieces. Has to do with the project itself and the way the project connects to business, but it also has to do with leadership. And with a leadership perspective, I call it the people. Project success has to do with proper planning and estimation. Also, when you don't have a real good idea of what the requirements of your deliverable are, or the stakeholders don't have an idea but they have a problem, a lot of times you're handed ambiguity. It's your job as a project manager maybe not to manage those requirements, to manage the ambiguity itself. A lot of times the projects I've done are not actually handing a deliverable. A lot of the projects I've had are, here are the questions you really need to answer before you get into this. And that's all that the project needed. That was a successful project. It didn't deliver the deliverable per se, but it delivered what they needed. It solved their problem. People success. And we actually break these into three pieces. First of all, facilitating. As a project manager, it's not our job to select our decision. It's not our job to select our project. It's our job to select the best decision and the best project. And this has to do with facilitating or facilitation itself. We create the environment. We're farmers. We're farmers of deliverables and knowledge. We go to the field, we throw out the rocks, we get out the weeds, and we create an open, healthy environment so the right and best things can occur. We facilitate. Now, with that, we have two sets of skills that we rely on. One, we call leadership skills, and this is where we work with our project team. They're only a subset of all the people that our project impacts, but they're an important ones. They're the ones that create a deliverable. So we have to have proper management and leadership skills in order to create an environment. It's partly discipline, but also partly creating a culture of openness and safety so people can raise their voices and say, I really disagree with this. It doesn't get them in trouble. It helps us think, and it helps us ask the question, are we really doing it the best way? If we're all engaged in this model, we won't get the deliverable that somebody thinks is good. It's a deliverable that we all think is good and we're committed to. Now, along with that, we have leadership and management skills that are going to have to reach out beyond the project team, to everybody this project impacts. Sometimes those people are vice presidents, sometimes CXOs, and sometimes they are the community itself. I participated in civic projects around here, and you think the voice of the mayor or the voice of the government is big. Think about the voice of the populace, That takes another set of skills, because you're not just directing and guiding and supporting. You actually have to be able to strategically support the culture so they understand your actions, and you have to be ready and listening all the time in order to say maybe my actions aren't the right ones. So these management skills are strategic leadership, not just the tactical leadership in creating that. All three of these things together, facilitating, leadership skills, and management skills, have to be in place. Now, that's occurring while we're supporting the tactical activities of the project. These two things both have to be in place. Now, let's talk about how we actually facilitate success. The opposite of success is failure, and I can probably cite almost all failure as coming from some type of conflict. Conflict comes from confusion and doubt. People haven't agreed on something, so they have different viewpoints. There's not the agreement that you have. Things are not clearly communicated well either. That's 90% of a project manager's job is communication. And if there's a failure in communication, it's always attributed to the actions of the project manager. So failure arises from inactive management conflict. That's what I call it. You do not participate as a project manager. Miscommunication, lack of communication. People don't understand stuff if you don't tell them. Now, also, inactive management of conflict because you're accepting competing agendas. Now, the problem is the project already has an agenda, right? It's the project objective. That's the agenda of the project. That's why we're doing it. Now, if you accept competing agendas, all of a sudden you're going to get multiple communications and multiple sets of information that are competing. It's going to create confusion and doubt. There's a third source of failure, and that's just scarce resources. We can all accept this. You have 7 laborers on your project team. You only have 5 shovels. There's going to be conflict. Now, all conflict, if not managed appropriately, will resolve in failure. Either a piece of your project, if you allow it, or the project totally. Active project management is the only prescriptive direction. Let's look at this. First of all, in communication, I talk a lot about in my classes transparency. Everybody hears something and they know they hear the same thing. Communication is really strange. It's 2 ways all the time. And when I'm saying something, I must be observing and I must be understanding that you are interpreting things the way I intended, and you're able to take that information and do something else with it. That's what I expect on my project teams right there. But I need to, in my communications, confirm that all the time. We don't have a lot of time. We have a schedule we have to adhere to. And so I want to make sure the communication is effective and appropriate and it can be acted on. That's transparency in communication. And everybody hears it. Not just a select few, but everybody hears this. Now, to be successful, we also have to have one focused objective. And that's not my objective, it's not Tim's objective, it's not the project manager's objective, it's the deliverables objective. In a project, there is hierarchy, but that hierarchy says the deliverable is the king. The business objective is the king. Everybody else supports the deliverable and the objective. Now, when you focus on that, you don't have competing agendas. Everybody is there to support that. And there's commitment, there's trust, and everything is aligned with that. There's one agenda, and that's the deliverable and how it supports the business objective. Scarce resources, resolving conflict. The Project Management Institute's material, the project management body of knowledge, which is the standard, says that if you want to manage things like conflict over scarce resources, you have everybody who's impacted participate together. Now, I say in this third bullet here, I say most appropriate use of scarce resources. Now, I could say what I think is most appropriate, but what I'd like to do is have everybody participate, everybody discuss it, and everybody resolve it together. Now, it's going to take more time, and it's more complex because I have to have more mature leadership. I'm not just making a tactical decision. I'm strategically creating an environment where everybody participates. If everybody participates, each individual contributes. And if they're contributing and they're voting, they're committing to that direction. Okay? That's one good reason why I want to do this. The other good reason is that by more people than just Tim participating, I get innovation in all of these options, the way people could actually go on this. I don't have the brain power of just one individual. I have the brain power of everybody. And those guys are the experts. I'm not the expert. Now, again, it's a little more time consuming, but think. Everybody participates, and we select what the best way is. So that's how we actually manage this. Every project has conflict. Conflict isn't bad. No way. In fact, I've just demonstrated that properly managed and actively managed, conflict can lead to innovation. However, passively managed, it will create all sorts of issues. And the worst issue is competing agendas. I will say one last thing on this slide, that if you, as a project manager, passively manage, people are expecting the project manager to manage. And if you don't manage, somebody else is going to informally step in. There's going to be decision making outside of your participation. You now have a project out of control. Active management is the only alternative. Let's talk about your authority. First of all, you're given authority to communicate. You're accountable for this communication, however. That authority comes with accountability. Any failure in communication is the failure of the project manager. Now, you are given authority to communicate. Even if you have just the authority to manage meetings, capture notes, and make sure people are adhering to schedule. If that's all you do on a project, you still have the authority for communicating and making sure that that communication is transparent, it's very easily understood, and everybody's in agreement. It has to be in there. I'm saying over and over again, you have authority to drive success in the project. That means if you do not exercise that authority, you're going to allow for failure. The project team, if it wasn't for the project team, you wouldn't even have a deliverable. They are the success of the project. And this is drilled in our classes over and over again. Success is due to the efforts of the project team. Failure is due to the lack of effort of the project manager. Also, as I said earlier, the project manager may decide, but they facilitate that decision. They make sure all of the input is in place. They make sure that that decision is agreed upon, and it's the right and proper decision for that part of the project and that deliverable and that business objective, you own that. That's your authority right there. It's not necessarily in the direction of the project, but in support and application of the project and your project management skills. That's your authority right there. It's not creating a deliverable. It's not your deliverable. It's the best deliverable. There you go. This is what your authority is. You chart success. You're a navigator. You are a peer to your project team. Think about that. What are the skills you bring to the table? Facilitation, leadership, guidance. In our classes, we teach planning and estimation, and we teach a very rigorous form of estimation and planning. We bring this to the table. We may not know the numbers, but we know how to look at those numbers and say whether they're good numbers or not. We may not own those numbers. Those are the subject matter experts' numbers, but we know how to turn them into estimates with 68% confidence, 95% confidence, with 99% confidence. We can actually do that. And this is built on hundreds of years of experience, not just in project management. That's only been since the 40s, but this builds on the knowledge and wisdom of our culture and society. This is best way to approach this. This is what we bring, and this is our authority. Now, how do you manage as a project manager? So in project metrics, this is the technical project management I was talking about. Earned value. How do I look at the data I'm collecting and determine we're over budget, under budget, ahead of schedule, behind schedule? We can actually do that and not only look at where we are today, but we're taught, but we understand how to forecast. Again, there's a level of confidence, there's a level of chance involved, but we build that into our communication. And it's the same way with estimation and scheduling. It's not our schedule, but we facilitate the best schedule based on the input from our subject matter experts. We take the scope, the entire work of the deliverable and what the deliverable is, break it into pieces, and we actually allocate those pieces to the subject matter experts who turn them into activities. They turn them into resources and durations. And then we're able to estimate cost from that using our subject matter experts. Throughout this all, we're performing monitoring and controlling. This has to do with, number one, how far are we from plan? Number two, do we need to apply corrective action? Number three, can we do this even better? We're constantly looking for opportunities to improve our performance, the project team's performance, the project performance. Can it meet the business objective even better? Change, just like conflict, change is not bad. It's unmanaged change. It's uncontrolled change that gets us in trouble. And monitoring and controlling confirms that change, the process of change, is in our hands and we are controlling it. Now, we also have to make sure that not only do we have the process and procedures for controlling risk, for controlling quality, and controlling purchasing in place, but we also want to make sure that we're doing it the best and most efficient way. It meets the needs of the people who need our information and need the project output. Finance and accounting. Do we have control accounts in place that actually generate reports that they need to actually understand the cost and the cost drivers on our projects? Data centers with our facilities. Do those numbers in constructing a building and developing a data center make sense to finance and accounting? We have various parts of the projects. We're creating an airplane over here, and we have a bunch of facilities guys over here creating a hangar. Are we actually, even in planning, making sure those two people are talking together? The risk, quality, and purchase part makes sure that we're plugged in with business and business decision making, and the project deliverable will be confirmed to meet the business objective. And in leadership itself, communication is part of leadership. It's facilitating the transparency of sharing of information across not just the project team, but everybody impacted by the project, everybody who has the potential or even does impact the project. We're making sure that everybody understands what's going on, and everybody's input is in the plan, and everybody is committed to the direction of the project. Now, project team we speak directly to because they have specific needs. You know, we want to make sure that they understand exactly what they're doing and they're committed to the direction of the project. We also want to make sure that if they have any confusion, they have any doubt, we have a way to clarify that. With stakeholders themselves, we want to make sure that, like I said, communication is transparent. We understand their needs. We understand the requirements that they put their name to on the project, and we're actively showing throughout the life of the project we're meeting their needs, we're meeting their requirements. This is how we actually develop our project in line with project success. This means that in order for you to move forward, if you don't already do this, now anybody with 15 or 20 years of project management has understood this. There's a simple adage that says, you know, when you get your PMP, when you've had 3 to 5 years of experience, you know how to technically manage a project. You know the skills, you've exercised the skills, you demonstrate, you have a certain level of experience. That gets you to the technical part. Understanding the business takes a little extra time because business changes and you have to grow to understand why business does things the way it does. But this leadership part, you're going to spend the rest of your career and in fact the rest of your life trying to figure this out. Understanding this actually gives you the understanding of what real project management is and what the career of project management is like. It's not just delivering something on time, on budget. It's managing the needs and the requirements of the stakeholder, managing the relationship with the stakeholders itself, and also managing your relationship with business. Also, there are formal tools that have been here for decades. We look in our classes, we look at these tools. One of them is the 3-point weighted estimation technique. We call it in the PMP material, the PERT, the Program Evaluation Review Technique. This actually allows you to take extreme estimates, what's your optimistic and what's your pessimistic, and then what is the most likely or your average. And we treat that mathematically to get a very accurate estimate. And this, by doing this, number one, we're following tried and true methods of calculation, and we get a rounded estimate that gives us a good perspective of the range that our estimates can be. But also, we're applying discipline to our project team, making them think, making them understand that there are drivers that will make optimistic estimates optimistic and what makes a pessimistic estimate pessimistic. And we do this through conversation so we all understand this. Mastering these and other tools and skills are just part of becoming a mature project manager. Plotting a plan for growth. And this means not just where I am today and not just getting my PMP credential, but what do I need to do for the rest of my career? Not to compete with other project managers. That's of no consequence. What's important is how do I improve myself? Remember I was talking about monitoring and controlling? How do I improve? That's plotting a plan for growth. And it's not just business acumen, it's not just leadership. It's understanding that you have control. Just like you have control over a project, you have control in your life. If you apply these skills and tools, not just in project management, but everywhere, you start understanding that you can make any strategy occur. Now, all of what I've been talking about is a little bit of Tim's experience, a lot of interaction. I've talked to over 1,000, between 1,000 and 2,000 people in the last 2 decades. And right now I'm working with 100 to 150 people a month. And I'm always looking for input. And what I'm sharing with you is not Tim's wisdom. It's the wisdom of what you and other people like you have shared with me. But the fundamentals are through the bibliography. Now, I've actually gone through this material really quickly for a good reason. I want to actually have a few questions and answers from you guys and find out from you all what your questions are and what your interest is in with this. But before we go into that, let me talk about our sponsors here, Easy Certification. They are not just a project management training company. They actually have corridors of knowledge and expertise. See, this is Tim over here on the left-hand side. What is that? It's 1/6 of what Easy Certification. And I'm just one expert within here. There's a bunch of us in here, okay? And we're all here to help you in your planning, in implementing the tactical steps to help you put together a strategy and help you turn your strategy into a real vision that you can see occurring. Like I said, come to us. We have a lot of questions. Reach out to us. Go to the website. And for any further questions, you can reach us either by phone or email. Now, with that being said, I'll pause for a couple minutes. And guess what, guys? If you don't have any questions, I have questions. I'll wait for chats if you want to send a chat message. This is a good list of attendees too. We have 19 people. There should be a broad range of interest here. We got a question. Would you have any idea how the training course is conducted? Yes, indeedy. Boy, do I, Randy. Real quickly, what happens is, generally, and I contribute to these, we lead off with some type of what we did today, like an overall picture, and we have a very specific flight plan or progression through the material. We lead through people through discussion and review. We've all, let's call it out, guys. When you have when you're attaining your PMP, you already have 3 to 5 years of experience. If this was karate or this was another martial art, you would actually be looking forward to test for your black belt, right? That's what a PMP is in our profession. It's a black belt. That's 6.5 years of experience. So you already have 3 and 5 years of profession behind you. So what we do is we have a review, and we review the material by the way the project management body of knowledge is broken up, but we look at it from a project lifecycle standpoint. We look at communication, we look at risk, we look at all these things, and how do we do this? Now, the tools we have available are much like what you see. As a trainer, I would run these presentations, and you'd have the support material on your side. Usually they're PDFs. Then we go through some exercises, we assign quizzes, and then we support, this review, and we iterate through all of these different perspectives, these aspects of the project management body of knowledge. This takes about 4 days, 8 hours a day. Then we provide you a very formal preparation, and it's a review process where you iterate through taking quizzes online, reviewing material online, taking practice exams online, and then you're going to have questions, right? And what we've established is a question answering session, much like what we're doing now. After, a few days after. The problem is, in the old days, and this is the way I went through my PMP prep, 6 weeks ahead of time, my company scheduled it for me. 6 weeks ahead of time, they said, Tim, you're going to this, sign up here. I signed up there. They handed me a 3-ring binder that was literally 3 inches thick. I still have it. I point at it and laugh. And so what we've done was we've used automation and technology to integrate that in here. Now, second of all, we understand something called work-life balance that we didn't in 2003. And so we say that your review process, as you prepare to take your test, will incorporate iterations of this, but it has to fit in with your work schedule, it has to fit in with your personal life schedule, so we built it in such a way that you have 8 hours a day for 4 days, but then you have access as you can to the content up. Now, the big thing is, guys, you schedule the test. You apply for the test. You schedule it through PMI. So you define when you take the test and when you're ready. We help you with that, but you're the one who runs the numbers, and you say when you're ready. That's the way they generally work. Those are the big questions. And that's what it's like. But what the experience of an individual class is much like what we're doing right now. This is the way I teach my classes. It's very interactive. Bonnie, you have a question. Do you want to send it chat? I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to it. Oh, I apologize. It's been up for 30 minutes. Do you have a question, Bonnie? Let me see here. Let me see these tools. Ah, there we go. Here's a question. Oh, man. Oh, I apologize. I've just seen that message. And again, I really apologize. I want to make sure that your voices are heard too. Let's see here. There we go. Oh, Randy, you heard about 80% of what I said. I apologize. Let me try this, okay? I'm going to turn off the camera for right now and see if that clears it up a little bit. Okay, so frankly, it's 4 days of 8-hour-a-day workshop, and then we help you baseline and benchmark on the quizzes and tests. You iterate through review of the questions, finding out where the gaps are. We support that We support that with an extra session or other support that you need in your final review and preparation. But again, I'm going to say, guys, you establish when you're ready to take the test, and we help you with that. We tell you how to do that. But a lot of this is you doing the work, and so we have exercises, we have quizzes, and we have these doubt clarifying sessions. That's the big part. Is that better? Okay, I have a couple questions for you guys. Let me see here. Here's a good one. So back on one of my slides, I actually talked about this, and this says, I talked about the fact that there are different types of success, right? Project health, quality, and project. One of the normal questions on the test is which one is more important? Which one of these is most important? Are we talking about the and this is a very common question, guys. Ah, good. We have a possible answer. Oh, okay. Would you guys like me to open up? It's gonna. I can open up the voice if you want to, or what I do is let me go ahead and look for raised hands, and I'll unmute the line. Let me try something here. That's really strange. Just a second here. Let me do something real quickly. Yeah. Oh, I got another question. Oh, you just found the chat box. Thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, if you want to send your question. Oh, Elsa, you said project objective. That's, you know what? I'd guess project objective. Yeah, sorry about that, Bonnie. I should have discussed the tools here earlier. Yeah, just a second here, real quickly. I'll give you the answer to this in just a moment. Actually, the answer to this, guys, yeah, it actually, Bonnie, it drives the others. Oh, and Bonnie, I'll answer your other question in just a second. I assume everybody can see the questions. Actually, the objective is important, but I've had projects. I'm going to turn on my camera again. I've had projects that actually were where the project metrics were more important, or the project quality was more important. And the business objective was, this is why we're doing it. but guys, we got to hit this cost, and we'll sacrifice scope, we'll sacrifice quality for every cost. So you'll see this in the PMBOK too. It depends, and it's the job of the project manager that says which one is important at any single point in the project. That's the key right there, you know, and this will change. And who's to say that that project objective is more or less important? The stakeholders. And you are the hands and the voice and the vision of the stakeholders themselves. If the sponsor says this project is no longer required, is it your job to say this deliverable must be delivered? No, it's your job to make sure that's the best decision and support it. Support it wholeheartedly, as long as it's the best decision. Correct answer is Tim's favorite answer. All of the above. Yeah, it depends. It depends. That's the right answer. You see this quite a few times on the test questions. Oh, is there a certain amount of time, and Bonnie asked this, I want to get to that, okay? Is there a time frame after the 4 days that one must take the test? No. What happens is we show you and we give you best methods and we give you support in applying for the test. And then Project Management Institute says, congratulations, you can take it. And then at that point, you schedule it. You have up to a year to schedule it. You determine when it's the time to take the test. Not me, not anybody. And what will happen is PMI sends a nice letter that says, congratulations, you're ready to take the test, and they give you a little code. They provide you a link. Let me pull this up so that you guys can see this. They provide you a link to a company called Prometric. If you guys took any certifications through Microsoft, this is where they do it. This is the third party that actually executes the test and does it. They're proctors. It's a controlled environment. We talk about that in the sessions too. It's a really controlled environment, and they even ask you to empty your pockets, put all of your worldly goods into a lockable cabinet. They escort you to a little chair. You have 4 hours to answer 200 questions. They're all multiple choice. Now, in the class, we say how to make the best use of the tools you're provided. You don't have anything that you brought in with you, but what do you have? A number 2 pencil, 2 to 4 pieces of blank paper, and we tell you how to make best use of all those. Let's see here. So what I recommend is, if you're comfortable with the material and you've been keeping up with the 4 sessions, it generally takes about 6 to 8 weeks, 1 hour per night, for people to determine that they're ready to take the test. Now, how do you assist people? How do I tell people when they know? It's generally when you're running and you're actually using the quizzes and the practice exams. You're not just taking them once. The exams are 4 hours. You don't want to take the exams a lot, but you can take pieces of them a lot. And when you're consistently scoring about 80 to 85% on that material, you're generally ready for the test, but it has to be across all of the material, not just quality management, not just purchasing or procurement management, but all the material. Yeah, about an hour a night, 7 days a week for 6 to 8 weeks. I've found people are ready. Now, what a lot of people do, They don't want to actually do it like that. They don't want to go to the gym and work out an hour a night. You know, they want to get it over with, so they invest more time right after the session and keep that material fresh, and they build up their knowledge quicker. Let's see, what else? Yeah, oh, and this hour a night, you're actually in a very focused, very intentional review and study. You're trying to retain more knowledge. You're trying to squeeze all the knowledge out of the information that the trainer's sharing with you. So it's very active review, and that's what's expected for that hour a night for 6 to 8 weeks. That's basically what the experience, the whole thing is. And these workshops are like that. It's not sitting back and watching. It's actually actively participating, just like what we're doing here. Let's see here. More questions. Let's see here. Here's a good question. We say conflict, and let's say you have 2 engineers. This is actually a real great question. You have 2 engineers, right? And they cannot agree. What's the best solution for resolving conflict? You can actually use, let's see here, you can make the decision for them. You can force concessions and have them get, you know, make sure that everybody gets a little bit of the success of what they wanted. Or you can collaborate. This happens all the time, and PMI and the PMBOK are adamant. There's only one solution here. In every conflict, and they say this over and over again, in every conflict, the objective of the project manager is to get people to collaborate. And they give a very specific reason for it. It's multi-pointed, but it's very specific. First of all, everybody participates. That means new ideas, and that's innovation. And that means one decision, and that means commitment. If you do this, collaboration, the PMBOK, and I agree with him here, PMBOK says that you get a chance for a longer lasting solution. Right. You have something that came out of the blue, and they brought it to the table. Now, if you approach every conflict in this manner, that's what success is. Consistency, and your project team, the stakeholders, learn time over time over time. Conflict isn't bad. I can open my mouth and disagree, and it doesn't make me wrong. And that means that you get more input. You're creating a safe environment, a safe culture. What I just went through here is a lot of what we do in these classes, just like what you're talking about. And what will happen is you'll bring a question from the quiz or from the practice exam, and you'll say, I don't get this, and we'll walk through it. And I'll bring up the PMBOK, and we all, let's see here. Just a second here. I want to make sure I know where they are. Let's see here. We bring up the PMBOK. And this is actually a document. This is supporting information. You're going to need this if you want to study. And we'll cite chapter and verse from this. This is the most current version. And if you're going to be taking the test before 2018, this is the version you want. This is the project management standard according to the Project Management Institute. And what I'll do is we'll look at the material, we'll talk about it, we'll look at your viewpoint, we'll look at PMI's viewpoint and why they say the question should be answered this way. See, a lot of material, this is where trainers come in. A lot of people just open the book and take the test. A lot of people do study groups. Trainers are there for just the reason I said. Project managers ask why, and a trainer's there to answer the why. Why is collaborate better? We understand it is intuitively, right? But a trainer should be able to spout exactly this or something better. That's why you need a trainer. And that's why you know, if this actually suits you, not everybody likes these workshop sessions, but I tell you, you know, there's a level of guarantee. You can actually look out, there's a lot of analysis in, you know, the percentage of passing the first time based on who went through a lead workshop versus who participated in a study group versus who studied book learning. I know about 4 or 5 people who went through book learning. I've known about 200, 300 people who went through peer group study groups. The rest, the body, 70 to 80%, they went through these workshops. Now, and the degree of success passing the first time, you can assume which one I'm going to say, but this is, you know, this is based on input from the people I've worked with. I'm a project manager. I live and die by data. That's the experience of going through these workshops. I can probably stay here for another 10 minutes if you guys have more questions. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I have another question here. Cool. Oh boy, let's see. There you go. Oh, have a good one. Thanks, Bonnie. Bonnie's already left. Okay, more questions. I can probably be here for another 5 minutes if you'd like. If you have questions about the contract that you would be putting together with Easy Certifications, again, you know, we're here to support that. Go to the website and check us out. Check out the material, and if you're interested, talk with us. We do these webinars from time to time too. This is the best way, we like to construct these webinars so that you get not just the information, but you get the potential experience. I get a lot from my students, I get a lot of questions about what's the best credential to go after, or is the PMP the right credential? I can speak to that personally, and I can point you all to surveys. If you're just making the decisions on whether to do a PMP credential or Prince, or what is a CAPM, I can speak to those too, and you should be asking those questions anyway if you haven't decided. Now, take this for what it's worth, but the Project Management Institute does a lot of surveys, and every year they put out a survey called Pulse of the Profession. They survey a lot of their active members, and they find out across time, what's the impact to my paycheck of the PMP? How many people are getting jobs based on PMP versus how many are getting project management jobs without the credential? What do companies say? What do companies say they're asking for from project management? And then they ask questions of corporations like, how valuable is project management to your company? And they build these analysis of these surveys and these results. If project management's your career, you should go to the website. That's pmi.org. Here, and you should just do a search, Pulse of the Profession. And it has a lot of these analyses. This is what these professional organizations are really good for, right? And they've been doing these years and years and years. And they actually talk about these. And they don't just do them on project management. Here's one on project management offices. If your job is there, take a look at that. We talk about PMOs in the PMP prep class because PMI has a certain level of expectation, and you should too, of what a project management office does for you. Okay, I'll wait for a couple more minutes. But again, if you need to take off or if this has served its purpose, thank you. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for participating in this. I hope that it has been valued. And I hope also that when you're considering training needs, you think of Easy Certification. You know, here's a trainer saying we're available for you. And we love to talk about this stuff. That's part of it. But we love in helping people. Everybody with a PMP is under oath to help you make the decision and help you do project better. Use them. If you get your PMP, you will be under oath to do the same thing. It's a community, guys, a network, and we're here to support. Thank you, everyone. You have a great day and a great week, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks all.